Thanos is one of the most intimidating characters in Marvel history. The Mad Titan is a villain through and through, a gifted tactician with an iron will who refuses to give up and travels through the galaxy, leaving a trail of death behind him. Many were introduced to him more recently via the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but he was first introduced in the comics in the 1970s, created by Jim Starlin and Mike Friedrich, which means he's had an awful lot of time to commit some of the most heinous acts known to man. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. Today we'll be counting down the top 10 worst things Thanos has done. Alright, now let's get counting. Number 10. Rendered Eros powerless. It's got to be hard being the brother to Thanos. Just ask Eros, aka Star Fox, about it, and I'm sure he'll tell you as much. Star Fox is often presented as being a hero in the comics, and yet despite his own reputation trying to do good at least, he has to live in Thanos' shadow. Of course, Eros has done some questionable things in the past as well, but I still can't help but feel a little bad for him. During the 1991 Infinity Gauntlet miniseries, while Thanos threatens Marvel's greatest heroes, Star Fox is taken prisoner by his brother, who basically rendered him powerless and makes him watch as he torments his fellow superhero colleagues and friends, eventually killing many of them. Though of course, they would return. That is what it's like to be the brother to the Mad Titan though. He takes the phrase of sibling rivalry to a whole new level. Number 9. Kills his own servants. Thanos is not even above killing those who serve him. He has obviously without much remorse killed his own adopted daughter Gamora before in the comics, and in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, although it pained him, he also chose to sacrifice Gamora to get his way and complete his plan. The Black Order, however, are not usually people who betray Thanos, unlike his traitorous daughter. They are usually loyal to a fault, having been tested over the years by Thanos and chosen for their strength, ingenuity, and ruthlessness. However, sometimes their own greed for power gets the best of them. Such was the case when Corvus Glaive ruled the Black Quadrant in Thanos' stead and was made to end his own life upon Thanos' return for basically doing so. He was like, I was just keeping the seat warm, and Thanos was like, nah, I don't believe you, you're dead. Before there was the Black Order, by the way, there was the Butcher Squadron as well, a team which Thanos assembled but would actually choose to murder members of at random for his own reasons. Not really a guy you want to serve, I don't think. Number 8. Killed his father. Mentor is known in the comics as Thanos' father. Alars, aka Mentor, has felt deep and intense guilt for years over his son's actions. At times, Mentor has even tried to intervene to try and fix the disaster and bloodshed that Thanos has wrought. In the end, Thanos grew sick and was dying from an unknown and seemingly uncurable disease. He turned to his brilliant father, an accomplished scientist, for a cure, after exhausting every other option he could think of. Mentor was forced to help Thanos when he threatened the other scientists' lives and the lives of their families who resided on the moon where Alars was living. When pressed, however, Mentor shared that a cure would take years to find, if there even was one, and that he was happy Thanos was finally dying. He only regretted not killing his son himself years ago. This outburst resulted in Thanos having an outburst of his own, and he murdered his father in response. It's not a great relationship. Number 7. Killed his mother. He just likes to kill everyone in his family pretty much. Granted, his mother did try to kill him when he was born, so this feels almost somewhat poetic. In the series Thanos Rising, we saw more into Thanos' origins and backstory as a youngster. Here we see him become more and more obsessed with death, specifically Lady Death, starting out with a weak stomach but growing to enjoy murdering animals, other children his age, and eventually killing his own mother, searching for something that would help him find who he was. Oddly enough, he thought killing his mother Suisan would make him somehow feel like or become less of a monster? As she had threatened him with a scalpel when he was just a baby, driven mad by his appearance, he also attacked her with one, tying her up and gagging her before cutting her open. Also, what's with that sexy position that she's in when all of that's happening? That's weird. Number 6. Child Killer. You wouldn't think that Thanos would make a great father, and he doesn't really. But that hasn't stopped him from siring many children throughout the galaxy and adopting others at times. Gamora is his adoptive daughter, but he also has a naturally born son named Thane. In fact, Thanos even attempted to find his son at one point during Infinity. He didn't want to find him to reconnect though, or repair a lost or severed connection. He wanted to find his son in order to kill him. Not knowing where to look, he decided the best course of action was to kill as many children within Thane's possible age group as possible. Thanos disguised this plot as one of conquest, ordering planets to pledge fealty to him and offer a tribute of the heads of their youths between the ages of 16 to 22. Number 5 influences Thane. This doesn't sound so bad as a title for a point, until you realize just what that influence did. Thane was Thanos' son, whose mother had been an Inhuman. Before Thanos showed up, Thane was a healer and didn't know that he was Thanos' son. Thanos, in his hunt to eliminate the child, demanded the heads of Attilans and therefore the Inhumans' children. This ended with a fight where Thanos fought Black Bolt, and Black Bolt detonated a Terrigen bomb. The bomb was so massive it triggered Terrigenesis in all those who had an Inhuman lineage on the planet Earth's surface, including, you guessed it, Thane. Thane's power was death, and he instantly went from trying to save people to basically killing everyone around him in an instant. Pardon my snapping. Completely unaware of what was happening. He later learned of his legacy, and Thanos promised he would kill him. However, Ebony Maw betrayed his master and instead set Thane free and influenced him to accept his destiny and fight his father. Thane did this and won, trapping Thanos. Learning of his heritage and with the influence of the evil Ebony Maw, who was only there due to the fact that he was originally a member of Thanos' Black Order and was originally loyal to him, Thane became a deadly and dangerous villain over time, with power initially rivaling his father's. Number 4 mass extermination policy. We all know Thanos as someone who is heartless, ruthless, and who kills to get closer to his one true love, Lady Death. And yet there is another reason he sometimes is known as a mass exterminator when it comes to various species and alien worlds. In the 2019 Thanos series, we see him going up against one of his greatest foes, Magus, and we see how he attempts to prevent Magus from expanding his universal Church of Truth, a much more evil religion than it sounds, let me tell you, by killing everyone, in order to prevent Magus from ever being able to convert them. You can't convert people if they're dead. While really joining Magus' church also is not an ideal scenario anyways, killing them to prevent this is intense and cruel. In truth, Thanos has always enjoyed killing, so to him it's likely like hitting 3 birds with 1 stone. He not only gets to rob Magus of converts, but also gets to revel in death, and also gets closer to Lady Death through killing. Yay! Number 3 brought peace to the world. If you don't know Cosmic Ghost Rider, here's the abbreviated version of his backstory. He's basically a superpowered Frank Castle from an alternate world where Thanos killed everyone. He is the power cosmic and is also a spirit of vengeance and a Ghost Rider, likely the last one. He's also been around so long and alone for so long that he's pretty mentally unstable. He was one of the last to stand against Thanos, but eventually ended up joining him because there wasn't really anyone else left to fight alongside, and he realized he couldn't beat Thanos at the end of the day. Cosmic Ghost Rider first appeared in 2016's Thanos series and would get a few miniseries of his own thereafter. His self-titled series shows him stealing baby Thanos so that he might raise him to be better, thereby preventing all the death and destruction we've come to know Thanos for. But even with Cosmic Ghost Rider's insane but well-meaning influence, we learn Thanos cannot be fixed. At first, CGR thinks he succeeded, but he later learns when he runs into Thanos from the future that his Punisher Thanos of a son has somehow grown up to be an even worse tyrant than without his influence, proving that even when people try to raise Thanos right and try to prevent him from becoming some crazy tyrant, it will still always end badly. Thanos forcefully brought peace to the world, and when others resisted his rule, he killed those who opposed him and created internment camps to keep the rebels in. Number 2 sacrifices millions for the love of a lady. In the comics, Thanos merely wielded the Infinity Gauntlet and snapped those out of existence to simply get closer to Lady Death, who he was wooing. That's right, in the comics the snap was simply an attempt to impress his eternal crush. Killing billions just for a chance at love with someone? A chance? That's pretty terrible if you ask me. Number 1 killed Death. If this feels like a paradox, well, it kind of is. But we need to remember, in the Marvel Universe, for Thanos anyways, death is not just a concept, but is also a person, Lady Death, his love. In an alternate universe, however, Death and Thanos have a different relationship, less of an unrequited love story, as Death is posing as Thanos' mother, until Thanos realizes that Death actually has been lying to him and takes revenge on her by killing her. This doesn't sound so terrible until you realize the ramification of this action, as Thanos does in the story. Basically, killing Death messes with the whole balance of the universe and everything, which, as we've seen in other alternate worlds like the Cancerverse, can be very, very bad. Of course, this doesn't go as terribly as the Cancerverse, as this happens in Earth X, an alternate world known as Earth 9997, and we at least don't have the influence of the many angled ones in this alternate world to worry about.